All right, Leo, thanks for coming on the podcast. I know it's been quite the entertaining back and forth for us to get caught up, but I'm glad we finally caught up with each other and we're able to kind of dive into a couple of cool things. The reason I think this episode is going to be something special is because every time I get to talk to a therapist or someone in that field, I think that it helps to normalize the conversation
Mhm.
and it pulls us closer to what should be a comfortable thing to do as opposed to what society has taken such a long time to kind of tell us you should not do, right?
That is fair.
So real quick, give us 10 seconds of of who Leo is and why Leo is so cool, and then we'll just kind of randomly snake around and see where we go.
10 seconds. All right.
Or more if you need an hour, we can.
No, I will not be getting out. It's been a long day. Real quick, therapist specializing in DBT, suicidal ideation, helping individuals with that, self-harming behaviors, borderline personality disorder also, anxiety, depression, pretty much my ballpark. And I do specialize in helping a lot of tweens, teens, college students, LGBTQ plus, and also a lot of focus on the Jewish Israeli population as well. I'm trying to think what else. And I also do
So
provide.
geographically, where are you located?
Good question. Located in Manhattan and the Bronx.
Okay. Well, I think that's a cool little area. It's been a while since I've been out that way,
Yeah.
but I know it's pretty frigid this time of year, and it's only going to get worse going into January and February. But
Where?
I'm sure it's not your first rodeo
In the Bronx?
in New York. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah.
anywhere in New York at this point.
No, it's freezing here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
you do not want to be here right now.
Welcome to Fathernetics, Fatherhood Unfiltered. I'm Jamil. Welcome to the podcast.
Do it. You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby. You are gonna see that you'll never ever find somebody do it like me.
I have a question about all of the acronyms that I saw on your Instagram profile. Maybe you can help shed some light on what they mean. So CBT stands for what?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
Yep.
What is that usually typical of? So if someone saw that, would they know? Well, I don't know. So maybe this is a good opportunity to kind of shed some light on it. What does that necessarily focus on when we're talking about therapy?
So a lot of it focuses on challenging thoughts, feelings, and emotions in terms of,
Mhm.
I was actually just had a session who someone brought this up. Actually, specifically talking about, the holidays and being gay. And she was like, I'm back at home and this is something that comes up. So a lot of it is just focusing on CBT and challenging those thoughts that have been kind of internalized. If you've been in, say, an invalidating environment, like a family, who have said something that may come off as homophobic or transphobic or anything like that, it's important to challenge those thoughts and, help yourself recognize that this is not something that I'm going to internalize, right? Checking the facts. And that's very much the point of the CBT aspect is, incorporating cognitive flexibility, cognitive restructuring, changing the way that you're thinking about not only yourself, about the world too, different opinions, interpretations. So that's it in a nutshell.
So
Yeah.
during this holiday season, I can only imagine, right, that there's a lot of stress for LGBTQ community members because of how perhaps they've been seen in the past as either being unwelcomed or welcomed, but not necessarily, show up, but we don't talk about that, or show up, don't bring your boyfriend,
Right.
or show up and maybe there is an eruption that happens, right? A moment, an inflection moment where it's like, oh my God, you talked about this, I didn't know. And now it's like, why are you here? Get out, kind of. I don't know, right? So um do you typically see a spike in that type of a rhetoric conversation during this time of year?
I'm trying to think if I would call it a spike. I feel like for me, it's been pretty consistent in terms of, I mean, maybe around the holidays, you see a little bit, but also I feel like regardless of being, gay, queer, LGBTQ plus, just in terms of relationships in general. It's like, this is a stressful time. I mean, you can even look at, honestly, I used to work in entertainment, so I always pull in movies as much as I can. You look at the media, TV shows, movies, relationships get kind of stressful around this time because we're meeting family members, we're going to family meals, right? I mean, these things happen with any family. I mean, that's why there's, think about it, like so many holiday movies that revolve around this dynamic, right?
Home Alone.
Yeah.
I was just watching
Well,
Macaulay Culkin, who I find out I'm 45, he's 45, and I'm like,
he's
how's that
45.
possible?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he was like younger than
He's
I
always
was.
going to be a kid. He's always.
I mean, he's got the kid facial features, but he's 45, so he's got like beard, and
Right.
he's talking. His mannerisms are like someone who's been around for decades. Like,
Yeah.
and I guess you grew up fast in the entertainment industry. Maybe that's where that comes from. So
Yeah.
it was different because Home Alone movies are quintessential Christmas movies, right?
For
So-
sure. I was even thinking about, I don't know if you've seen Happiest Season
No,
with the girl from, this is how I know her, the girl from Twilight, Kristen Stewart. Is it?
I don't know, Kristen somebody. I
Kristen,
watched
yeah.
I watched Twilight because everybody was saying to watch Twilight.
Yeah.
I wasn't terribly impressed, but
Yeah.
I did watch Twilight.
Yeah.
Especially now that it's on Netflix, you can watch them in
Whenever.
binge watch all 15 movies is what it feels like.
Yeah, but
and then funny story, I
Yeah.
tried to watch some of the movies from what's his name,
Who?
the wolf guy, what's his name,
Oh, Taylor
I wanna
Lautner.
say it's Jonathan something. Yeah, Taylor
Oh, that's
Lautner.
close. Yeah.
Horrible actor. Oh my god.
Well, I don't want to
I
dish
don't
on him. I mean,
know.
he's not. Yeah.
I'll say it.
I think it's all
It's
about
okay.
his
I'll
looks.
say it.
I think that's why because half the movies he's shirtless. I mean, we'll be honest, right?
Exactly. I think
I don't know.
that helped Twilight
Yeah.
greatly, sure. And then he made some other movies, and I was like, why didn't I realize this before? But he didn't really have to act in the other ones.
You know what? He was in, I don't know if you've seen Cheaper by the Dozen.
I have.
Okay, he's in the second
was in
one.
that?
He's in the second one. He plays like a teenager, and he falls in love with the girl who I think she just came out with a book from Disney Channel, who used to be like a child actress. But if you go back and watch it, he's in there. Yeah.
Easy to miss.
Yeah. I don't even know how he. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying in terms of movies. I mean, you look about holiday movies, though. I mean, like you said, Home Alone, Happiest Season, For Christmas. I mean, any holiday movie revolves around like relationships, meeting the family, the parents, and then it's like, let's see how this works out. I think I try to watch like 2 or 3 movies every week, honestly, especially around these times. Love the holidays.
So do you think this is part of maybe
Yeah.
the challenge with how people deal and see holidays? It's very movie-esque, and reality is always very different.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think
maybe
it is.
that's part of the stress.
I think it is. It's to your point. A lot of it is romanticized, right? I mean, we look at all these movies, these TV shows. I watched a movie this past week about a girl that is obsessed with her work and then goes to Paris and falls in love with the guy that owns the business that she's trying to sign off on. She ends up quitting her job, of course, and it's like a Hallmark-esque movie. But it's very much romanticized in terms of.
Wait a minute, that happens all the time.
Oh,
What are you
totally. I
talking
mean, look at Emily in Paris. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's out there. It's people.
Everybody wants that.
Everybody wants, especially on it's consumerized. That's a word, consumerized. Yeah, romanticized.
Yeah, well, it's a word today.
It's a word today. But yeah, I think it
Well,
is.
I do notice that a lot of people
Yeah.
seem to gravitate to those movies because it's what they've always wanted to experience, but maybe never got a chance to. And specifically, in the LGBTQ community, right, there is that experience that we all wish we had in high school, where we could just date and have that normal experience. And then we never, well, I guess closer to my age, never had those experiences, right?
Yeah.
I think this generation now is starting to have
Oh yeah.
a lot more of those experiences, and obviously they come with their own issues and challenges, but that's always a plus. Anyway,
It is.
all right, so what does DBT stand for?
Ooh, next one. Yeah, we love acronyms. DBT stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy. It's
Oh, that's a good
similar.
one.
Actually, just quick though, it's so funny. I just talked about Emily in Paris. My phone just got a Netflix reminder about Emily in Paris.
Oh, it's
It's
listening to
listening.
you.
It is. It's hearing everything. Our phones these days,
These phones, we gotta
You
like
know.
power them down when you're having your sessions, by the way,
Honestly,
so it's not recording everything somewhere in the cloud.
it's all in the cloud. It's all, and it's gonna come back at you. Well,
Yeah.
so I mean that's, but okay, but going back to DBT, it's similar to, it derives from CBT, right? It branches off from cognitive behavioral therapy. It is more complex, I will admit, from my perspective, because there's a lot of moving parts. DBT was initially created around 50 or so years ago by Dr. Marshall Linehan for individuals with borderline personality disorder, and then over the
Mhm.
years have been proven to be the gold standard and effective for helping individuals reduce urges and acting on certain urges regarding behaviors stemming from, feeling extremely depressed or debilitatingly anxious or extraordinarily angry, right? And acting on these. And, I can go into the whole spiel, and there's different, like I said, moving parts in terms of DBT consists of, well, comprehensive DBT, individual therapy, skills learning component, or learning actual concrete DBT skills. There's consultation team, which is for the therapist to partake in. And basically, if there's anything that comes up with you and your client and you want to take it to a team of other DBT clinicians, you have extra support if you need validation, if you need problem solving. There's case management, which is like coordination of care. You want to get in touch with psychiatrists, the other providers on the client's care team. And then there is phone coaching, which is a huge part. Say, for instance, if an individual needs um, immediate assistance, basically, in short layman terms, to put it, they have the ability to reach out to their therapist. And I will say the goal is to not make the situation worse, right? So if someone's calling about, like we just said, family dinner over the holidays, I'm feeling a lot of distress right now. I'm at a 10 out of 10 in terms of distress. I don't know what skills to use. I'm at a skills breakdown point. What can I do? And we'll walk through and talk through it a little bit. What skills have you tried? Where are you physically right now? The goal of that is to very much get them to a point where they can regulate themselves. So,
Is that would that be a standard, for lack of a better term, right? Is that a standard offering that you would have? Hey, if you need something, call me. We'll if it's urgent enough, we'll address it. Or is it just call me
if
and
call
we'll
me,
talk about whatever?
yeah, I mean, so it depends. It's very much case by case. I will provide kind of informed DBT with individuals, or I'll do comprehensive where it is, formally we'll go over this worksheet. This is what phone coaching is. This is what it entails. I do have people text me though, randomly, especially teenagers, that it's like, this has been happening. And it's always like, you know, teenage related stuff where it's like, this girl's not invited me to the party, or, I didn't get to go on this trip with this person, or this person likes this person. It's nothing life threatening. So that stuff, I'm like, okay, we don't need necessarily phone coaching and we can address it in session. Whereas other stuff
Okay.
though, if it's like, I'm gonna cut myself, I'm feeling suicidal, then that's something we'll have a phone call or
More serious. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where does, and this just popped into my head, where does
Yes.
addictive personality fit in? Is that the DBT? Because that's what comes to my head. And the reason I ask is a lot of people say they have an addictive personality, and I believe them, but I wonder if they're saying that because they know that,
Mm-hmm.
or if they're saying that because they're making an assumption. So from a clinical perspective, is that a real thing? I guess is my question.
I mean, I don't want to give any false information. I will say I don't specialize in any addiction, especially if it's
Okay.
the primary. I will say, with that being said, I help individuals if, say, substance use is a concern, where DBT can come into play and help. Although, to your point, I feel like people do have that, And I feel like it's almost a
Mhm.
self-fulfilling prophecy. If they say, you know, I'm sorry, I have an addictive personality. It's like, well, wait a second. You're self-aware. Do you actually want to change that? Or are you just kind of like using it as a cop-out excuse? And then some people kind of do have, you know, diagnoses and mental health concerns that play a role in this too, right? Especially
Yeah, so at the end of
anxiety.
the day, it requires a conversation.
Yeah.
I think we all want to self-diagnose,
Yeah,
and
we all do.
oftentimes we get it wrong. So
It's true. I mean, honestly, I look at, you know, the intake forms that I have clients fill out, which I'm sure, I don't know, have you been in therapy or?
yeah, I'm in therapy currently.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah. Proudly say it. I want
good,
people to again. I'm part of the normalize it. Like,
as you should.
please go. Like, it's
Everyone,
maintenance.
everyone
Like, it's
should.
not.
It is.
We're not saying you have a problem and
Yeah.
you know you need to swing far left. I'm just saying
Right.
show up and have a conversation every now and again with someone that and not necessarily on your side, but someone who is objective enough to tell you when you're not in the right.
Right. Right. Willing to listen. I mean, and that's what I love about it is like if you're willing to put yourself out there, because I've talked to people, you know, I've talked to parents where they're not willing to do that. Right. And then they're like, oh, here, go fix my son or daughter or child. You know, like, go help them. And
So, what are some of the misconceptions that puts up a roadblock in that area that you've come across, and maybe you've helped to kind of tear down?
what do you mean exactly?
Like, okay, so a lot of people are hesitant to go to therapy because they
Mm-hmm.
misunderstand the definition of trauma,
Yeah.
or there's a lot of, oh, I don't need that, just this person needs that, or I know this entire family has gone through this one event, but I'm okay, I don't need that, and then I'm crying in the corner
Mm-hmm.
6 months later because I chose not to go to therapy and I just don't know why. And then of course I think there's a lot of perhaps stigma with society that says that means there's something wrong with you and you should feel bad about it.
Right. Right. I mean, that's kind of what I was kind of getting at. I mean, to delve further is, you know, a lot of, and I'm not going to generalize in terms of it's generational. However, a lot of older individuals won't want to do this. And I've come face to face where people have said, you know, I don't need this, but, you know, I really want my child or, you know, teenager to work on this. Um, and that is part of the roadblock is that a lot of the times it's before them and it's in their household, it's their environment, and they won't want to acknowledge or take accountability or put in the work. So that's a huge roadblock.
So what made you decide to become a therapist? Or is this
Oof,
something you fell into?
that's a really good question, Jamil. Um, wow. Okay,
Dum dum
backing up. I know,
dum.
right? So as I mentioned, I used to work in entertainment, and oof, I was living in LA in, I was gonna say West Hollywood, but have you been to LA?
Oh yeah. Spent a good what, 10, 11 years out there?
Okay, doing what?
Yeah. I know West
You
Hollywood.
know,
Everybody knows West Hollywood. Um I was working in a tech firm, but Nicholas and
mm,
I, my husband of
yeah.
22 years now, we
Oof.
probably about a year and a half after we met, we relocated to LA and we spent the first 10 plus years out there. We lived in the valley in San Fernando Valley in Woodland Hills.
Hmm.
And then we moved to downtown. We stayed in downtown, probably a couple blocks from LA Live, which is now what, Crypto Stadium or whatever crypto area.
Oh
They
yeah,
changed the name of it.
yeah.
And then we moved to Orange County, Irvine,
Nice.
and Huntington Beach before coming out to where we are now,
Uh,
which is in Phoenix. So
all right, everywhere in LA. It sounds like you made a.
yeah, listen, there are a lot of different cities in there that we lived to. We moved like every other year. Like once our lease was up, we moved. So
It
we
sounds like
moved
it.
quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we were young, we could do that. So
that's a good point. Yeah, I honestly I don't know if I'd ever want to go back. I mean, I'd want to travel there. I was just my partner just had his friend here from LA, and I was like, maybe we'll do a trip to Joshua Tree, and I was like, yeah, kind
close
of down.
enough.
Yeah. Um, but I was gonna say, yeah, I worked in entertainment, and let's see. I mean, I definitely I've always wanted to, you know, share stories, share diverse stories, whether it was characters or character development or, you know, just people's stories, and that was my kind of dream, you could say, of I studied film undergrad, and
Were you on the production side or were you in front of the camera?
oh no, I was not in front of the camera. I was on the behind the camera.
Okay.
Although I in acting classes, and every now and then you have to partake. But which is helpful just to kind of know what's going on. Anyway, yeah, I very much wanted to do that. So then COVID hit, and I was like, all right, this is not really happening. I reached out to so many people, just kept getting rejected. At the time, I was living with a mutual friend out in Whittier, which you probably know where that is. But yeah,
Very far from the water is where it
yeah,
is.
exactly. I could see it, and I was like, I'm so far from everything I'm gonna be near. It was like nothing. Yeah, being stuck there during COVID was a lot. And I tried getting a job, and then I finally got a job at a talent agency. And when I was working there, I realized I'm not sure I want to do this, because the amount of effort I was putting in and the amount of pay I was getting, and then also, just, you take a real hard look at it in terms of values. I remember one day my boss asked me to go sit with a potential actress that they were willing to sign, who just got out of the military, if I recall correctly. And we went to, I'm like forgetting where. We were somewhere in Beverly Hills, because that's where the agency was, at, I think, Earth Cafe, I thought.
Sounds right.
Yeah. You were like, it sounds LA-ish. Yeah, it was Earth, and we sat there for about 4 hours, and I got totally sidetracked. I was like, I had such a great time talking to this person, telling me all about her, experiences in the war and PTSD, and, what she was feeling. And she's like, this is why I want to do this. And I was like, you know what? I'm not as interested anymore. Throughout the conversation, I realized I'm not as interested in getting her a next the next role on a TV show or movie or anything like that. My boss was pissed, as he should have been, because I took 4 hours for a coffee date, which should have been like maybe 30 minutes. And it wasn't just that. It was
Sometimes it takes longer, man. We got to really dive in here.
sometimes it does. Yeah, we did. I was like, this is a really nice work day. I'm just chilling and having coffee with this person. This could be a job. Yeah.
A little bit of food, expensive.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's a write-off. No. But then I realized also past that, I was like, I'm talking to a lot of colleagues, a lot of people in the industry, of course, are gay, queer, LGBTQ plus, and all those people that I worked alongside, they were experiencing, some of them were experiencing serious mental health concerns that, were not a top priority for them. And they were like, this is the industry, we grind, and we just work hard as talent agent assistants. And then I remember kind of looking into therapy treatments, just in general, for people in that world. And I remember coming across, I think it was Selena Gomez and Pete Davidson and
Hey, Selena, what's up?
and other people that are, well known. And then I saw DBT attached to it. And I was like, what is this? What is DBT? So then I fell in this rabbit hole. And, fast forward, I applied to Columbia University for social work and got in. And then I got into the DBT program. And here we are.
So what do you think about people who are aware enough to know something's off, but ignore it? I mean, what is that typically? I don't even know how to ask the question because everybody's so different. But how have you seen that manifest in life?
Oof. Without disclosing anything personal for people.
Right. It's super general.
Super general, super vague. It's interesting. Sometimes you'll be in sessions with someone and you will see on their face that they kind of recognize, and then they kind of avoid it or ignore it or suppress it. Or they say, I don't know, it's fine, I don't really want to talk about this right now. Or, what this space is for for growth and challenging. And, sometimes it's not always for that. Sometimes it's for like, we don't want to talk about this. Let's talk about something else. What's at the forefront of your mind, if not that? And, we'll have to come back to it. If we're going to play this avoidant game where you're not going to take accountability, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not the person to work with you. I'll find you someone, but it won't be me if we're going to sit here and avoid the real concerns and issues. If you don't want to have that.
So how long is that? What's
Yeah.
that clock like in your head? Because I know there are a lot of people that will go sit in therapy and not want to engage or not be honest enough. I mean,
Right.
you're looking at them and you're going, I can tell you're not being honest, and they're like, I am being honest,
Oh,
right? And maybe they don't know that they're not being honest because they've lied to themselves for decades.
yeah,
So
that's a good point.
what's that runway for? Are you like, okay, I'm gonna give you 6 months and then we're gonna have to call it? Or do you sometimes come across people and you're like, okay, I know this is gonna take a long time, so I'm in it for the long haul?
That's a really good question. It depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the energy they're giving. If it's just like pulling teeth, kind of like what you were mentioning, before we hopped on, you kind of were like, all right, sometimes it is like that. And it's like, oh, this is going to be one where I'm going to work at it. And it's like, if it is that, and that's the case, I'll have to reassess and take a real good look and say, is this worth it? In terms of working with this individual, especially if it's, a lot of the time it is teenagers, right? If teenagers, because a lot of the time they're the ones
that can be a hard nut to crack, right?
Oh, 100%. They're there because a lot of the time that their parents want them to be there, right? So
so it's not like they volunteered for it.
Right. It's not like, hey, little Timmy, like I'm here because I want to grow and I want to learn. It's like, no, my parents are forcing me to be here and I don't want to talk to you. And it's like, all right, let's play this game. Let's do this, which, I do like doing because I feel like we're all a little bit of a teenager inside, a kid. We can kind of pull that out and it's fun. It's kind of like our revisiting what you were like. And, you want to get to the truth, like the heart of what they actually want to talk about. Because, I mean, the parents' goals, they matter. Don't get me wrong. It's more about, though, what is going to make your kid or your teenager put in the work and feel motivated to actually talk about anything, to start disclosing, to start to be vulnerable, right? So if, parents are like, my son's feeling anxious going to camp or in school and doesn't have a lot of friends, it's, we'll talk about that. That won't be the main thing. If, he or she or they want to talk about, I want to be a musician. That's what we're going to be aiming toward. Why do you want to be a musician? And these are the things getting in the way. These are the factors that are getting in your way of achieving your goal, right? Internalizing judgments, negative feedback loops, all these different things.
So do you have to slap the parents on the hand when they're going, tell me what happened? What'd you guys talk about?
Oh my gosh.
They're like, mind your business, please.
It's, that's what it is. A lot of it is. I mean, we have confidentiality and I tell them, I'm not going to disclose anything to your parents unless you want me to, unless there's something you want me to share. And I'll always ask permission, can I share this with mom or dad or whoever, any guardian, parent, because sometimes it's also a psychiatrist. Is it okay if I share this information with this person? Yeah. So it's, kind of like you said, slapping a hand and being like, you know what, this is the boundary. This is not, and I'm not.
All right. So when was the last time you testified in a murder case?
Oh, no, never. Never did that.
Oh my God. I know that's kind of weird, but we watch too many movies. That's where that comes from. So.
Oh, I know. I've seen, and I'm looking at those movies and I'm like, you know what? I've never had to do this. And I hope to God I never will.
You're like, you got a subpoena. Now we have to share. Anyway. Okay. So, the last two here that are on your profile, ACT, what does that stand for?
Ooh, acceptance commitment therapy. Very.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that one.
You know that one?
I don't know it, but I like it. I like the way
You're like, I love it. Yeah. It's very much value based. So it's about accepting, yourself while also working toward and upholding the values that you want to uphold, which I honestly, I bring it into DBT when I do kind of a more informed approach. Like I'll combine certain interventions and modalities. And, just because, a lot of time whether it's teenagers or adults, whoever, people you start working with, you don't really know, and they don't know always their values and what they're working toward. So you want to make sure and ask them, do you know your values? If not, we'll go through a worksheet or a couple different worksheets and make specific goals that stem from these values. Because we want to make sure you're motivated.
Maybe we take some of these things for granted. A lot of us
Mm-hmm.
have values and
100%.
kind of have an idea of a direction that we're going in life, and fortunate enough to have coping skills that we've grown up with throughout the years as kids, and with parents who've tried to show us what some of those are and could look like and should look like. I think maybe I'll speak for myself. Maybe I take some of that for granted, because I do look at some people. I'm like, oh, why are you? Why is that an issue? But it's all. I always catch myself because it's like you don't really know what's going on. Like why are you asking that question instead of just providing the support that they're asking for? So it's like some people in their adult years have to learn it.
I mean, it's true.
Coping skills specifically. I have a 12-year-old that we adopted. So he's been with us since he was 4. But we adopted him out of the state system as a foster child. So there were a lot of things he learned that we kind of had to revise and update, if you will, if that's a baseline way of saying that.
Yeah.
But we also had to learn it and become more aware, because our coping skills, we trigger them and use them without really knowing that we're doing that.
Yep.
So to do that with a kid, have to teach him specifically coping skills. And I'm sure this is probably in your wheelhouse. It's like, we have to, okay, what are coping skills?
Right.
Oh, that's what that is when I do that. Like, hey, slow down, take a couple deep breaths before you respond. It's like, I do that all the time. But my kid needs to learn how to do that. Therefore, I need to learn how to teach him to do that.
Exactly.
It's a really weird position to be in, to be quite honest. It's kind of like, am I the right person to teach that? But yeah, you are. As a parent, you teach that all the time. It's just now it's intentional.
Right. I mean, you have to be the teacher. You're going to be, and it's so interesting you bring that up, because the parents are the ones that they're going to have to be the ones that are psychoeducating. Also a new word on this podcast. Psychoeducating.
Dum dum. Yeah, I'm gonna put the definition up.
You should add the definitions just like in a little footnote. All these.
Well, okay, so you define it, and I'll put it in a little block. Right. Like, I'm gonna put my finger like right down here.
Look down here, yeah. No, that's it. But I mean,
okay.
Yeah, psychoeducating is exactly what it is. I mean, we talk about psychoeducation in terms of therapists working with the parents or anyone in the child's life, right? Because you want to make sure that that's being taught in the environment that the kid or teenager is in, right? I mean, if it's you, the parent, if it's, whoever, teacher, grandparent, anyone for that matter. And it's you asking yourself, what are these coping strategies? Kind of like you said, and how can I show my kid what to do or how to be the, example of it?
And it being close to right? Because we don't always get it right the first time. And, we were fortunate enough to have a behavioral coach come in and work with him. And we learned from that what to continue to do to showcase that, right? Because I think coping skills, at least for me, it's hard sometimes to explain how to do that, because we were doing it because we saw someone else do it. So we're just able to kind of model that behavior, but to then try to define and explain and then build scaffolding around it. It's like, okay, how do I do that?
Right.
Awesome. Right. All right. Last one. And then we'll get into some other things. EMPR or EMDR. I can't even read my own handwriting. Look at this.
EMD as in dog. R.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. So that is a trauma-based modality. It is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And
okay.
It's a little bit of a fancier one. I feel it takes time. Basically, if you've ever experienced, and this initially created for trauma purposes, like I mentioned. However, it's also helpful for challenging or wanting to challenge belief systems, whether it's a negative belief system that you yourself hold within yourself, right? If you feel powerless or like you have, did you hear that?
He's awake.
Nice.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, basically that's what EMDR is, though. In terms of trauma, it's it's just to give you an example. A lot of people come in with PTSD or traumatic situations they've experienced or CPTSD, and we'll talk about this specific situation, right? If someone was attacked maybe by a dog or an animal or something, right? Basically, we want to uproot that specific memory, which is attached to a channel of other memories that are now in your present day. So it involves a lot of revisiting the past, almost like you're on a train and you're making these little stops. And throughout that, we are also doing something called bilateral stimulation. So this is very much what I'm doing with my hands, is kind of going back and forth. It's stimulating the part of the brain that's able to help you reprocess and look back into these memories. And sometimes people do it with their fingers, like back and forth. Sometimes it's more of a tactile, tapping on your legs or your shoulders, or if we're getting really fancy, a kind of light beam, which blinks really fast and goes back and forth. The therapist will ask you to focus on the light as you revisit that memory. And basically, by the end of this journey, the goal is to help you identify a new kind of way of looking at this memory, and the new way you're looking at these present day situations. Thinking to yourself, okay, it wasn't that I was powerless. It was just these specific circumstances that I was in. I was a young version of myself. How does this affect me now in present day? Present day, I know I have power. I know I can do these things. I know I have a say. I know I can set firm boundaries if I need to. Right? So that's it in a nutshell. And there's so much more in terms of EMDR. But
Oh, I'm sure this is the
yeah,
tip of the iceberg that we'll ever be able to
it's,
get to on a 1 hour podcast. So, but I think this is an
yeah.
entry gateway. I think that the more information that we can provide on this subject, the more comfortable people will feel about approaching someone or maybe reaching out to you on your Instagram going, hey, I heard about DBT. It sounds like it's in my wheelhouse, but I don't know. Let me ask 10 questions and find out. And maybe you'll come back with like 10 more questions and go, no, you're somewhere else. Or
Right.
I don't know. Right. So anyway, okay. So let me adjust a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Fathernetics is really centered on trying to understand who we are as individuals. It doesn't necessarily focus on the fatherhood part, even though that is a very big component of it, as LGBTQ community members are now having more and more kids, which I think is so freaking exciting. But it's really about identifying how we've become the people we are today. So what would you say are some of the bigger influences that have made you who you are today? Like, what are some of the characteristics that you have that you're like, okay, that's my dad, or I get that from my mom that makes you Cool Leo today? That's your new nickname for the podcast.
Cool Leo. Love it. I would have to say, I mean, it's funny, my partner, he's like, you're just like your mom. Like, you sound like your mom. I feel like it would be my mom.
I hope that's a good thing.
It is, and
I know you see that in movies all the time.
yeah,
You sound like your mom.
you sound like your mom. It is, and then sometimes I'm like, wait, let me check myself. I don't want to be too much. Like, I want to be my own person and everything, and so definitely my mom, and then also, I don't know. I mean, I try to be more like my dad, but also it's not as easy. He's
Okay, so
very
what do you do that's like your mom?
oof. That's
Well,
specific.
okay, I know there's a top 5, but
It's
just one random thing.
I think maybe being very particular or having strong opinions or having
You kind of have to
things.
have strong opinions to be a therapist. I mean, that might
I
work in your favor.
I think so. I mean, I think also having things certain way, living situation wise, having certain needs. Um,
So you have clear boundaries.
yeah, let's say, I love how I'm saying these things and you're like, Jamil's like, we're phrasing them in a very positive light. Like, so you have clear boundaries. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I'm your therapist today.
That's what it
I
sounds
just
like.
wanna...
So you have clear boundaries. So you have firm intentions. You have, you know what you want. You have clear,
Well,
yeah,
I try to usher people into
yeah,
positivity. So, and not that you're being negative, you're not. And
yeah.
we need to call a spade too when the time
Right,
comes, because
right,
we don't want to sprinkle fairy dust over something that shouldn't have it.
right. I
So I
mean,
appreciate that. So you said you're... Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna
oh no,
say?
I was, as you were talking to me, of other people I've kind of come across over the years. I mean, I was saying also, I try to be more like my dad. I'm very easygoing, and it's not as easy to be that easygoing. He's just a very relaxed person. Um, but besides parents playing a pivotal role, I will say also older brother who is a lawyer and
Mm.
he's based in Texas. He's also kind of easygoing. He doesn't really let things bother him too much, and it's helpful to just
Well
kind of
adjusted. Very
right,
nice.
right. There we go again. Well adjusted, and we like to take note of that when we can. Well adjusted. I love every time I'm going to say something, you'll just be like, let's refine it. Let's
Well adjusted.
well
Okay.
adjusted. Yeah,
So why aren't you well
there's
adjusted? What happened? No, that's...
that's a whole yeah. um, who else? I'm thinking. This is so strange. I'm thinking about I was interning at Fox when I was in my senior year of undergrad.
Fox
And
TV, not Fox News, right?
yes, yeah. Well, okay, so yes, correct. I know.
We got to
Yeah,
clarify.
we do. It definitely, yeah, Fox TV. It was Fox Broadcasting, and it was I think the year after they had a merger with
Okay.
I'm blanking on what exactly happened. I think it was they had merged with Disney, if I'm correct. I don't
Mm.
know. You're like I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, I
Now I'm gonna
was
look it up. And...
you're like oh he was wrong. No, I was working under.
No.
He's like he doesn't know it's entertainment. I was working under my supervisor at the time, who is a gay guy, not was a gay guy, and he.
Well, you don't know.
Well,
That could
I
have changed.
I
No,
know,
I'm done.
I
I'm done.
know
I'm
it doesn't. Yeah,
done.
yeah. We had some great times. I just got to LA, and he was like my real friend at the time that I didn't know many people. I was in my program. The program was called the Hollywood program, part of Penn State's kind of initiative of helping people in the film and entertainment industry get integrated
Mhm.
into the
Mhm.
entertainment world. And this guy, great guy, he just spoke so highly of like the entertainment industry, of like old time like Hollywood also. And he just felt like almost someone that could help guide me in a way. He, just being new there, we would talk about relationships. I think at the time was in his 50s, I want to say. And I think he now lives in Palm Springs with his dogs. And
Makes sense.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah. He was just very
Mhm.
wise and had so much to share. And I'm always thinking about him. Who I haven't actually reached out to in a bit. So after this, I might send him a text and just check
There you
in.
go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
He's gonna invite you out to Palm Springs. Come hang out.
That's the goal. That would be the
Bring a crew.
I'd bring a crew. That would be nice. But yeah, I mean, in terms of him, I'm trying to think who else really.
Well, it
Yeah,
doesn't need to be a laundry list.
yeah,
It's always good to take a moment and reflect. I don't think a lot of us do. I mention
yeah.
this all the time on my podcast. Our parents have always been parents to us. We don't know them as anything before that, being
Right.
regular people bouncing around doing crazy things and fun things. And as we transition through life, there is a point where if we decide to be parents,
Right.
you know, we often forget about the human part of parenting, and we always have to remember it's, hey, you're a parent. You're 100% a parent for the first 3 years, but we need to pull some humanity back in. Like,
Right.
go have some fun, date nights or travel by yourself, and mental health, right?
Exactly. I mean, so just to share a story, my partner and I were just in New Orleans, and we went and we got a lovely dinner with his uncle's friends who lived like a couple houses away, and they have I think a newborn, very young baby. And I was thinking to myself, how do these people like get out at night? Do these people, have date nights? Do they go out? Do they do these things? I mean, I agree. I mean, kind of like what you were saying, you don't want to forget about who you were when you were in that relationship, right? Just because you have kids doesn't mean you should lose sight of that.
It doesn't, but what I've learned is the word intentionality is
Yeah.
it's like a buzzword now. I use it a lot, but I think it's appropriately termed.
Right.
You have to think about, plan, and execute. That's intentionality. Because if you just assume it's going to happen naturally, like, I shouldn't do this, it should just happen naturally. Nothing happens naturally. You got to want
You do.
for it to happen, for it to happen, and then it becomes part of the routine,
Right.
right? But if you don't do it intentionally, then who's going to do it for you?
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. And same thing in therapy. You have to be the one to take accountability and put the effort forward. If not, then it's not going to happen. I mean,
That's where I learned the word from. So
that's
yeah,
exactly it.
thanks to you people,
You
your
be-
therapist
therapy-
people.
Exactly. That's what it is. And yeah, I mean, it's just not losing sight of that stuff. Having everything.
It's a journey.
It is.
It's a journey. And I wish people had the patience for it. I think people somehow magically think, you sign up for therapy and 3 months later you're good to go. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I mean, do you need to be in therapy for the rest of your life? Maybe not, but you need to really give it a chance. And I
Right.
learned that from my husband. He's, you get into therapy, you need to give it a chance. You can't just show up and
Expect.
you're not going to open up on day one.
Right.
You're gonna, right. So
Right.
it's like, you need to trust the person. Maybe they're a good fit. Maybe they're not.
Right.
Like, so, and be comfortable saying, hey, Leo, I appreciate this. We're not a good fit. I need to find somebody else. Leo is not offended. See you later, buddy. Like,
no, 100%.
thanks for trying.
I've had people do that. I've had people send emails, short emails saying, you know what, I've tried it, and they'll just like not, respond or get back to me or anything. And honestly, it's funny, if the shoe's on the other foot, I'm so open. I will be so open in a therapy space. I sometimes think I'm too open. And for me, I want someone to kind of call me out on my BS. I want someone to tell me what's up.
Yep.
Like, I don't want someone that's just going to sit there and be like, nod and look down at their notebook and be like, and how does that make you feel? And I'll be like, I just talked for like 30 minutes. Like, tell me to shut up at some point, Like, if you have questions, right? Like, please, this is a conversation. Don't just let me rant,
My therapist is awesome because she's like, okay, how much volume do you want from me? Like,
Right.
do you want me to listen and interject every now and again? Do you want me to be like heavily involved, or do you want me to call bullshit every 5 minutes when you're not, right? So I appreciate her for doing that, because I'm a very direct person.
Mm.
But I do have sensitivities. Like, if I'm talking
Yes.
about something that's really sensitive and you're like, that was you. I may
No.
take that to heart and start to cry. Like, damn,
Exactly.
you didn't have to say it like that. Like, so she's dialed in perfectly now, right? I've had her for years, and she will,
Yeah.
hey, maybe you didn't approach that correctly. You want to revisit that? So I'm like,
Right.
okay, I appreciate you saying that in a very gentle way.
Right. And sometimes that's what it is. I mean, first of all, great point bringing up, Jamil, because that's exactly what it is. You want to, build the rapport with this person first to start off and see, where that line is. It's like, all right, that's where the line is. I don't want to be like calling too much BS, and I want to approach the subject sensitively, especially if, there's a recent passing or something, or, a relationship broke up or something like that. Right. Because I've had clients kind of say, all right, that's a little too much. Like, let's I need more validation. I'd be like, all right, let's give you that validation, that empathy, and let's talk about that. What do you want? Do you want problem solving? Do you want to just talk about this?
Yeah, what is your goal? What is your goal?
Right.
And I think that's that question is sometimes earlier on in that journey, sometimes that question can be a bit much. Like, I have no idea what I want or what I'm supposed to get out of all of this. So
Right.
that question is kind of like, I just want to show up. Okay, well, let's start with that. Thanks for showing
Exactly.
up.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's so different. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I work with a lot of, neurodivergent individuals, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, and that's very different in itself too, in what it looks like. Because you want to,
So okay,
yeah,
so I do want to
yeah,
ask about that. I wrote down just a few notes, and
go
that
for it.
was one of them that I want to talk to you about. But before I go there, I want to ask one of the questions that you ask on your IG is why people ask for Jewish therapists.
Mm.
What's the answer to that? Because I'm curious. I didn't click on it because
Oof.
I was like, let me ask them
You're like, I want to save
and get the
the
answer.
Jews. Like,
Yeah, I want to get the
what
answer.
oh, you're funny. I mean, especially look what's going on right now. I mean, everything in the world. Well, it's it the third? I feel it's funny. Every time I talk to someone that's Jewish in terms of therapy, we always like, oh, I'm a bad Jewish person. Like, I should know what night of Hanukkah it is, or I should know when Hanukkah is, or it's like the third night of Hanukkah, and look what's happening. In terms of Bondi Beach, how many people were murdered. It's and then there was the train incident this morning, and then in Boston there was a murder, a Boston teacher, and I mean, basically, it's pivotal for a lot of Jewish people in terms of feelings of anti-Semitism, and people want spaces where they can genuinely have open conversations about this. And I've talked to so many people where, they won't feel comfortable talking about these things with therapists that don't identify as Jewish, or, feel like they can have that space held for them. And, especially if there's family situations coming up, family in Israel, or, in New York City, that are experiencing thoughts, or, in terms of family that are Orthodox or extremely religious in some way. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people reach out because of that.
So there's so many layers to the Jewish culture and the Jewish religion.
Yeah.
It's I think and I know but what fits into a thimble. So I don't know a lot about it. What I do know is it's oftentimes what's in movies, right? Some
Yes.
movies take great care to be very on point, right?
Yep.
And not misleading others or sensationalize and can throw you for a loop. And sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the two. So I think that having the opportunity to say, I would like to have a Jewish therapist that comes from a background that I don't have to say everything. A lot,
Right.
some of this is either understood or at least
Right.
there is enough there to go, okay, I know where you're coming from. Right. I think there's value there. I think the same is true for the LGBTQ community to be able to
Yes.
say, I need to talk to somebody that has gone through my experience where I don't have to write down every single detail. You just kind of you can fill it in because you've been there,
Right.
right?
Right.
As opposed to those who want to help but don't know the experience. I mean, there's only so far you can go.
Right.
So kudos for being available for that. And I think New York is a big area for the Jewish community, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, it's exactly what you said, and it like you said, it's true for every population, right? I mean, in DBT, we talk about a type of validation that's radical genuineness, and a lot of the time, people want to bring that in. Especially a lot of DBT providers will just be super genuine, especially because we're working with cases that are such, in terms of high acuity, people that are suicidal, people that are, self-harming. And then there's therapists that, don't really go there, that don't really bring in that radical genuineness. And it almost, I've talked to a lot of, first thing I ask clients that I start working with is, have you been in therapy before? If so, what do you like and what do you not like? And I hear from a lot of people, I don't want to be talked down to. I don't want to be talked to like it's patronizing or contradicting in some way. And I very much make sure not to bring that energy in, because people do that. I've talked to a lot of people that kind of talk to you that way, and feels degrading.
Well, you don't want to feel like you're being fixed,
Right.
right? You want to feel like you came here to learn how to fix yourself, and
Right.
someone's just telling you how to do that.
Exactly. There's a difference, and I like the way you said that.
I've been in therapy.
Yeah, there. I've been there.
And I've had 2 therapists in my life. The first one was for like a month, and
Yeah.
I went to him twice, and I was like, "This is not the
it.
vibe."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and he was nice enough, but he was like, he's not getting it. And then I went to a different therapist, and she's straight, and it's a young lady, and
Yeah.
she's from she's born and raised outside of the U.S., which I am also born and raised outside of the U.S. So I think that helped in that degree.
Yeah.
She doesn't know the Black experience. She's not Black. She doesn't know the gay experience. She's not gay.
Right.
But she's plugged in enough to be able to function where I need her to. And I appreciate that. I didn't have to spend like an entire season looking for a therapist, because I will tell you, hey, this ain't working. So we're not coming back.
No, and it's a process.
I have no shame there.
Hey, exactly. I mean, going back to like what I said in terms of I like things specific ways, and I have very very specific needs, and it's like for me, I'd want someone also, like you said, someone that kind of understands that gay perspective or is kind of familiar with that. And for me, going into it, if that person isn't that, then I'm like, all right, I'm not even sure if I have enough buy-in already for me. But there's a lot of people that are open to it, and it's like, this is what works for me.
It's just connection
It
at the end
is.
of the day. Do we vibe? Cool.
Right.
We don't vibe? No, not gonna work.
Right.
Okay, so 2 of my last questions.
Yep.
I'll ask the easier one first. Are there plans to be a dad in the future?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes, there are.
Ooh.
Yes,
Dum, dum,
there
dum.
are. People, it's funny, people keep, I don't know if you've experienced this, excuse me, when you were with your boyfriend, kind of like, just starting off, and you're with your family, your friends, and there's like people pressuring you and kind of be like, oh, we're waiting for the wedding, or like, what are you going to name your kids, or, all these things. And it's like, all right, you worry about you, we'll worry about us. Like, just don't, like, and there are those plans.
Mind your business.
Yeah,
Mind your
right.
business.
Like it's happening. It's in the works, and we're doing what we need to be doing. And we went to I was going to mention this. We went to in New Jersey, there is a gay dads meetup where
Ooh.
yeah,
Okay.
south of, I'm like not familiar with New Jersey, south of Maplewood, I think, is what it is. Sonoma County. I'm probably butchering it, but basically, it's actually run by a psychologist, a DBT psychologist that I befriended.
Mhm.
He hosts these events at his house where all these dads come in the area with their kids. And
I like it.
I was like, I want to just experience it. I want to see what it's like, just to know that there's a community out there like this.
You're now in charge of sharing the podcast to that group. Thank you.
Oh, I will. I'll send it their way.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
This is not the first time I've heard about it, specifically in that area where people are meeting up because they are in that zone, right? I tell people all the time, there are gay people everywhere. It's just hard for us to really connect on things that aren't tied to like, the random hookup app. Right.
All of
that makes
stuff.
it easy for that purpose.
Right.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That serves a purpose. But when we're talking about more than that, parenting, and it's a little bit harder to do. So when I hear of opportunities of groups meeting, hey, we're all dads, let's hang out, let's become friends, because now we have an opportunity to share with our kids that there are other family members or other families out there that look like us.
Right.
It's normal. It's part of the critical nature of America these days.
Right. I mean,
So I love that.
No, it's amazing. And it's also, I mean, it's not only for you, it's like you said, it's for your kid too. You want to see this life as possible, because I was just talking to a client about this. You don't see a lot of this still in entertainment, still in movies and TV shows. You don't see a lot of it out there, and saying, this is possible. I see it, so I believe it. You have to make that.
You have to see yourself out there for it to be normal, and that's where why blah, blah, blah. that's why representation is key and important in almost any culture.
Yes.
It's definitely important and key. Okay, so when are we having the kids? Is this like next week,
Oof.
next month? We need
Definitely
dates.
not next week. I think, let's put a ring on it first, and then we'll
in
see.
the near future. In the near future. Okay. Everybody stay tuned and watch the Instagram for when it happens.
Definitely.
When that flash mob proposal happens.
And the flash mob proposal. That is exactly it.
All right, so talk to me a little bit here in the outro in the last couple minutes that we have, the difference between neurodivergent and neurotypical as it relates to ADHD.
So real quick, ADHD falls under the neurodivergency spectrum, the umbrella.
Okay.
And there are 2 types of ADHD. There's, well, actually 3 types. There's inattentiveness, hyperactive, and then there's combined. And in terms of neurotypical, that could look like, first of all, we say neurotypical. Neurodivergence includes so many things. Autism, ADHD, Asperger's learning disabilities. There's so many different things underneath that umbrella. So that could include a lot.
So is neurotypical basically anything that doesn't fit into those categories?
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean, I think a lot of people equate that to the term that I don't like to use, which is like normal, because normal is really subjective, right? That's a society term, right? So it's, oh my God. So it's really about what doesn't fit into, So it's really about what doesn't fit into neurodivergent.
That
umbrella.
umbrella.
I'm having a hard time saying that.
It's not an easy one. It's,
Fair enough.
So,
Okay. So that's part of your practice.
Yes.
You support and manage that as well.
Yes. And there is a lot of, I have to say, there's a lot of intersection between LGBTQ+, neurodivergency, and also just being Jewish. There's a lot of intersecting. I mean, as you're probably aware of, intersecting in terms of any identity, right? It can exist anywhere. It's just about, you want to find that person, that space that is willing to hold that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because my 12-year-old is on the ADHD list. So we spent a lot of time. Let me speak for myself.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time learning I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but I've spent a lot of time learning some of how that works, how he engages with the world. And I still don't have it perfect because I'm not wired like he is. I see the world very differently.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's taxing, sometimes it's frustrating, and then sometimes it's intentional that I have to be plugged in. Like, hey, maybe you do need to do it this way, even though that's not the way you would do it.
Right.
This is the way you need to do it in order to get this type of a result or a plug-in or an awareness from him. So when I saw that word, I was like, oh, okay, he knows what's going on there. And I want people to kind of know, a lot of people think ADHD is just unruly kids that can't sit down.
No.
And now that I've educated myself, I see people in grocery stores with kids having fits, and I'm like, hey, you don't really know what's going on there. That doesn't necessarily mean that kid is just in bad behavior. He could have been triggered by something.
You don't know.
That you have no clue what's happening there. Like, have some patience, right? Have some empathy for the mom who is just so frazzled because she's got a baby in one hand and the other kid's rolling around in the grocery aisle in the frozen fruit section, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I need to leave the store right now. So I get it.
I was very much that kid.
I get it.
So I can relate. I have ADHD and learning disability, and I'm very much in that. But when I was in the grocery store with my parents, I'd be grabbing everything off the shelves and be like, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get all this, and my parents would be like, we're not getting that. Then a tantrum would happen, and I'd be like, all right, this is,
So what was the path that your parents took? Or so let me ask it a different way. The way that the world has evolved these days, right? I think things are a little bit more out in the open. Like, being neurodivergent is now out there for you to research and grab and say, okay, this is maybe something my kid is experiencing, so I'm not going crazy. That wasn't the case 20 years ago.
Yeah. 20 years. Wow.
So what would you say was the path your parents took with you to say, okay, or
Oof.
maybe there wasn't a path and
No.
you just came to it on your
No,
own?
no, no. So I'm from outside of Philly, which I feel like I should have said that a while ago. We were
Okay,
like,
Philly,
yeah.
hey.
Yeah.
You waited till the end, Philly, bring all the
Yeah.
Philly people in.
I know all the Philly people are probably like, go Birds. Yeah. And so my mom realized at a young age for me that I had a learning disability and that I was not neurotypical. And I actually went to a private school for individuals. It was for individuals with dyslexia. I don't have dyslexia. I was diagnosed at, I think back in '05 with, it was like slow learning processor. Um, so that, and then there was just the inattentiveness in terms of organization, executive functioning stuff. It would also play a role. So thankfully, my mom.
The dyslexia, do you think the dyslexia was a blessing in disguise that got you into the school
No, so I
that you
mean,
needed to be in, or?
well, I don't have dyslexia, so it's like I was in this.
True,
Yeah.
very true.
So I mean, the school itself was for, just neurodivergent individuals, just people of learning
Okay, I see.
differences, and it was, some of the kids had dyslexia, but it was also just a great environment, smaller class sizes, one-on-one, and it was very expensive at the time. I mean, still probably is. And I went for like 5 or 6 years, and I was very young, and we tried, be honest, we tried medication at first, and it wasn't the right fit for me. So it was just changing the environment, the way I was learning,
Well, good for
changing.
mom
Yeah.
for
Oh no, mom.
doing that, because that couldn't have
Mm-hmm.
been, and I say it couldn't have been an easy choice. I don't know your mom. Obviously, your mom was probably like, I don't care, I'm doing
Oh
this.
no, she.
But a lot of people hesitate
Yeah.
to do stuff like that just because of how they may be perceived.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely. I'm sure that played a role in it. That and thousands of dollars for a private school for, it's not easy. In terms of having those funds too. And I'm,
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunate for a lot of people that aren't able to get that care they need too.
Yeah, welcome to America. This is
Right.
medical. I'm sure you're familiar with that as well. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
a headache. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, make sure to code it right. Anyway,
Oh yes.
listen, Leo. I told you we'd blink and we'd be at an hour.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Listen, this was fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
love the opportunity to kind of dive into things like this. It's conversations that
Yeah.
are becoming more mainstream, but not fast enough. And I think 2020 really plugged a lot of people into this space, but there's so many others that could benefit from just trying it. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we see some great success, but be surprised that it does work. So I encourage people to take some time and look into it. Maybe they reach out to you on your Instagram and say, hey, what does this look like? And maybe you have some references for their area, or they do virtual, or whatever that happens to be. At least they're asking the right questions.
I mean,
So
that's
cool.
That is what it is. If it's not me, you reach out on, what is my Instagram, LMSW_Leo. If you reach out there and, it happens to not be a good fit, or, fee wise or insurance or whatever, I'm always happy to help other people get the right therapist they're looking for, the resources. I'm on many different therapist listservs. I'm like 40 different therapist listservs. So I send out inquiries, and I'm finding you the right person, if not me.
Okay. And how much? It's free, right? Is that right?
What? Therapy? You're talking about therapy. I know
Therapy
you're
with
talking.
Leo is free.
Oh, don't say that.
No, I'm just kidding.
That is just.
Get your discount code here. No,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just kidding. No discount code.
Yeah.
All right, Leo. I
All right.
appreciate that. This was fantastic. I hope you have much great success, and I hope your partner feels better.
Thank you.
It's,
I know
it's
everyone's
going
sick
around.
right now. I appreciate you, Jamil. Thank you for having me on this amazing podcast. I'm looking forward to staying tuned. And as you mentioned, I will send this to the gay dads group that I went to recently. So
Listen, if you do, great. If you don't, that's fine as well. I'm not putting this on you. I feel like people will discover this on their own, but I welcome people to share this information, because while it is my podcast, the goal is to get stories out there. That's the goal.
I love it.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3.